Right then, Tamers, welcome back to another deck profile video. In today's video, we are showing Imperialdramon Blue and Green DNA. Now, the deck itself has recently seen some new cards released with the AD01 set, which if you're fortunate enough to get your hands on, then naturally you're going to get the latest cards. The deck itself is now become strong again. Not that it ever wasn't, but as always, let's just dive straight on into our Digi-Eggs. So out of personal preference, I'm running 4 copies of Demi-Vmon from BT3. When attacking once per turn, as if this Digimon has jamming, you trigger draw 1. Now this is not the best egg for this deck. In fact, the actual best egg for this deck is BT12's version of Demi-V, which is a when attacking once per turn, if you have a green Digimon, you draw 1. So whether you're swinging with Stingmon or Wormmon, you're still going to get that extra draw. So naturally that is the better egg. Moving on to our rookies then, so I'm going to start with 4 copies of Vmon from BT12. It's the bog standard searcher for this deck alongside the Wormmon variant, but the on play is revealing the top 3 cards of your deck and you add 1 card with Imperialdramon in its name or the free trait and 1 Davis Motomiya in its name, and you add those to your hand, bottom deck everything else, and then the inherited effect is an end of your turn. This Digimon and one of your other Digimon may DNA Digivolve. But speaking of variants, aka Wormmon from BT12 as well, does exactly the same thing as the Vmon, except in this case the only difference is the Tamer card which you can select, which is Ken. I'm not even going to pronounce the surname because I can't, but basically it's the same top 3 search. You add 1 Imperialdramon in name or free trait Digimon card and 1 Tamer card with Ken in its name, and then you return the rest to the bottom of the deck. The end of your turn effect is exactly the same. It's an end of your turn DNA, which kind of goes hand in hand with the style of this deck. And then I'm also running 1 copy of Vmon from BT16, which is your turn once per turn when any of your other Digimon are played or Digivolve. If any of them are green or have the free trait, you gain 1 memory. Inherited effect, your turn, this Digimon gets plus 2000 EP. And then Wormmon's BT16, start of main and on play. If it's your turn, one of your Digimon may Digivolve into a level 4 Digimon card with Insectoid or free trait from your trash with the Digivolution cost reduced by 1. When attacking once per turn, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. As for the last rookies, then I'm running 3 copies of Vmon from the promotional range, more specifically P117. The your turn effect once per turn is that when this Digimon would Digivolve into a Digimon card with the free trait, if you have a Tamer, you reduce that cost by 1. It's when attacking is not once per turn, but if this Digimon has 2 or more colours, you draw 1 card. Now it's obviously there for a reason, namely for the draw power, because sometimes you will brick. Imperial still does that. As for champions then, I'm running 4 copies of X-Vmon from BT12. Now, the your turn effect is that when it would DNA Digivolve into a green Digimon card, you gain 1 memory. The inherited effect is a your turn effect of this Digimon with Imperialdramon in its name, or the free trait gains jamming. Now, this is a mandatory 4-off for this deck. The deck can still work without them, but ideally in the real world, to make this deck as strong as possible, you kind of need these cards. But the same can be applied for the Stingmon from BT12 as well, which does exactly the same thing, except when it would DNA Digivolve into a blue Digimon card, you gain a memory, and then the your turn effect inherited is this Digimon with Imperialdramon in its name or the free trait gains piercing. Ultimately, you need to have 8 of your level 4s need to be the Stingmon and the previous X-Vmon you just seen. Being able to gain 2 memory during a DNA Digivolve is absolutely vital. But at the same time, being able to suspend everything, and kill stuff with piercing and do multiple checks with jamming is actually quite handy. But I'm also running 2 copies of Imperialdramon from BT21, which comes with piercing, armor purge, when Digivolving to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Then this Digimon gets plus 2000 EP until the end of your opponent's turn. This is just a neat change of pace, really. It deals with problematic rookies or level 4s that stop memory gains or reduce Digivolution and so on. And then lastly, the restricted Stingmon from the ST9 set, as well as just 1 copy of EX11's X-Vmon, which comes with a mandatory jamming. Its inherited effect again does exactly the same as the BT12 XV, and Stingmon on this occasion, you can hard play this for a cost of 3 if you already have a blue Digimon in play. Otherwise, it's got a when attacking of simply drawing 1 card if you have a blue Digimon in play. And then moving on to our ultimate level Digimon then. So 4 copies of Imperialdramon from BT16. Comes from Partition. Now when Digivolving, suspend all of your opponent's Digimon with as many or fewer Digivolution cards as this Digimon. And if DNA Digivolving, none of them can unsuspend until the end of their turn. When attacking once per turn, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, unsuspended Digimon. Then if the effect didn't suspend, you unsuspend this Digimon. Its inherited effect is simply that of Partition, which goes very, very well for this deck in terms of having protection layers. But next up, we're running 3 copies of Imperialdramon from the new AD01 set, which again comes with Partition. When Digivolving until your opponent's turn ends, this Digimon can't be deleted in battle. Then if DNA Digivolving, this Digimon attack target cannot change for the turn. Now when attacking, this Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon card with Imperialdramon in its name from the hand with the Digivolution cost reduced by 2. And again, similarly has Partition as its inherited effect. Moving on to our Mega Level Digimon then. So I'm still using 2 copies of what I think are the best Dragon modes in the game right now, which is from BT16. When Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers can't unsuspend until the end of their turn. Then by suspending one of their Digimon or Tamers, you unsuspend one of your own Digimon. All turns when an effect plays or Digivolves an opponent's Digimon, if you have a Tamer, this Digimon may Digivolve into Fighter mode in the hand without paying the cost. I did contemplate using 2 copies of the BT12 Dragon, which does go very well with the new Fighter mode, but there were just certain situations where I couldn't get to grips with it. I didn't see like the added value of that card in this deck, so I've opted to use the BT16s instead. However, I'm also running 2 copies of the ST9 Dragon, which allows you to play a level 4 or lower blue and green Digimon card from its sources without paying the cost. It does nothing else, but it sets you up certainly for the next DNA Digivolve. As controversial as it might seem, I'm also playing 1 copy of Fighter mode from BT20. Now, it comes with Raid and Piercing. When Digivolving, your opponent can't play Digimon or Tamers by effects until the end of their turn. Then, if you have Dragon mode in its sources, you trash your opponent's top security card. All turns once per turn, when your opponent's security stack is removed from, delete one of their Digimon with as much or less DP as this Digimon. I still think this card is very relevant for the current meta. We're going up against things like Shine Grey now and TS and CS and all sorts of other S's, but I just think it's still relevant. But moving on to our next Fighter mode then, so from AD1, it comes with Security Attack +1 and Blocker. When Digivolving, when attacking once per turn, return one of your opponent's lowest DP Digimon to the bottom of the deck. All turns once per turn. When Digimon are played or Digivolve, you may suspend one of your opponent's Digimon and unsuspend this Digimon. Then if played or Digivolved by effects, you may return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of the deck. Our last Mega Level Digimon is Paladin Most Ace from BT17. On play, when Digivolving, you trash all Digivolution cards of all of your opponent's Digimon. Then you return either your own or your opponent's trash to the bottom of the deck. If the effect returns a level 7 white card, you gain free memory. When attacking is not once per turn, but by returning one of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards to the bottom of the deck, you unsuspend this Digimon. This goes very well against Time Stranger, as well as just any purple colour deck. Next up, I'm running 2 copies of Davis from BT3, which is the mandatory memory setter for this deck. It's on play. In this case, you reveal the top 3 cards of the deck and you add 1 blue Digimon card and 1 green Digimon card. Among them, add them to your hand and then you bottom deck everything else. So it can be a dual searcher in some scenarios, especially if you've balanced out your ratios as well and somewhat got a decent shuffle. And then the next set of Tamers that I'm playing are essentially Davis and Ken. It's the best Tamer for this deck. It does exactly what this deck is built for, which is a start of your main. You may play 1 Vmon or Wormmon from your hand without paying the cost. At the end of your opponent's turn, it returns to your hand. Your turn effect, when one of your Digimon Digivolves into a blue or green Digimon by suspending this Tamer, you gain 1 memory. If it DNAs, however, then you can trash any free Digivolution cards from underneath your opponent's Digimon. Security effect, as always with all Tamers, is you just play it without paying the cost. As for option cards, I'm running 3 copies of Return to the Primogenitor from BT17 rather. The main effect is that one of your Digimon may Digivolve into a level 5 or higher Digimon card with a free trait in your hand, with the Digivolution cost reduced by 4. Then you place this card in your battle area. All turns is that effectively when one of your Digimon with a free trait would be deleted, but other than by one of your effects, you can activate Delay and then Digivolve into an Imperialdramon in name from your hand without paying the cost to prevent that deletion. its security effect is you basically play a Tamer card. And then lastly, I'm running 1 copy of Digital Gate Open, which I think is actually very good for this deck. Maybe not more than 1 or 2, but certainly a very good card generally. But you reveal the top 3 cards in the deck, add 1 Digimon card and 1 Tamer card, then place this in your battle area. You know, you activate Delay, and then you may play a Tamer card with the cost reduced by 4 as long as it meets one of the color requirements of one of the Digimon that you have. Right then, so the 50 card deck profile is now on the screen. As always, I encourage you to copy and paste it, make changes to it where you think it's relevant. The deck itself is exceptionally strong, and it has been since BT16, let's just put it that way. You know, we've got a new Imperialdramon with Partition, which just only makes things a lot better. The fighter mode is crazy good. Certainly can consider a 3 or a 4 of in this deck. You know, for personal preference, however, for me, you know, the card is quite costly, so I'm only going to run 2. And the virus fighter mode actually does a lot of stuff in this current game meta as it is, so that's not a bad, you know, alternative. But as always, guys, you know, thank you very much for watching the video. If you liked it, hit that little like button. If you've got thoughts on the deck, by all means leave a comment below and I'm happy to discuss. If you want to see more, naturally subscribe to the channel, and I'm sure I'll see you all in the next one.